Hello and welcome to another episode of For the Love of Sports. My name is Michael Rasile. This is the show where we get to talk about sports, we get to talk about business, and we get to talk about everything in between. Wherever you're listening, however you're listening, you know exactly what to do. Like and subscribe on YouTube, 5-star review on Spotify, and say something really nice about me and my incredible guest over on Apple. Today we have John Wright. He's the co-founder of StatsDrone and the host of the Affiliate BI podcast. John, how you doing today, man?
I'm doing pretty good, and thanks a lot for having me.
Pleasure is all mine. Excited to learn a little bit about your career, your past, what it's like being a professional gambler. Like, is it like the movies? Don't answer. We'll get into it. John, for the first question I have for everybody on the For the Love of Sports podcast is, why do you love sports so much?
Well, I thought I would represent where my hometown is. I'm from Toronto. I'm a big fan of hockey. I like soccer, or football in Europe is what they're going to call it. Big fan of basketball, and yeah, it's what I like about sports is the competitive nature of it. So I've heard this quote recently, and I'm kind of guilty of spending less time watching sports. It's got to be time in my business, or the quote I heard is you should be spending more time playing sports than watching it. So I'm not fully living up to that. I like playing just basketball, just shooting around for practice for fun. Did a bunch of kickboxing, although I'm kind of wanting to stick away from that just to keep the head in check. But yeah, I just love the competitive nature, and I think there's a lot of interesting parallels that tie into the business world.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, sports and business go hand in hand in not just sports business, right? But in, athletes becoming entrepreneurs and people learning what they did in sports. I'm going to have to push back on that quote a little bit. There's no way I can play as much sports as I watch, because I watch football, I don't know, 24 hours on a Saturday, Sunday. Like, I can't possibly put that much sports time in my life. I got a newborn. He's 7 months. He's right behind us sleeping in the other room. There's no way I can have that. So unfortunately, John, I'm gonna have to push against that quote and say there's also I would get crushed if I went out on a football field. So I don't really want to do that either, man.
Well, to be fair, you're kind of getting paid. It's part of your job. So
it's part of my job.
That's a pretty sweet gig.
I'm pretty happy. That's what I always tell my wife. It's like, oh, sports, babe, I got to see. Like, we really have stake in this game. Like, I got to know what happens, so that way when it's obviously it doesn't matter either way if I'm watching or not, but it makes me feel better about how much sports I watch. Because if I'm not watching sports, I'm not really watching TV. So that's just kind of the way I like to look at it. But, man, again, very excited. Appreciate the answer there. Excited to get into your thing. So you became a professional gambler. Very interesting. Like I said, is it like the movies? What are we doing? How do you, I feel like, so you're up in Toronto, where gambling's been kind of gray market for a little while, right? Here in the States, we had Nevada and we have Atlantic City. So I'm in New Jersey, so not too far from Atlantic City. So I might have thrown some dice a couple times in my life. But I'm kind of curious, how do you even stumble into becoming a professional gambler?
Yeah, it was total randomness. I was in school doing engineering, and one of my friends who also went to a different school, also doing engineering, he started to learn psychology, and then for some reason, he just found a path towards learning how to card count. And he was doing this for a while, and I just said, whatever, you can't make money gambling. I just totally, didn't really take any credit for what he was saying. And then he took it to another level. He's like, now I'm playing online casinos and making money. I said, this is beyond ridiculous. Like, I didn't believe it. This story went on for 2 years, and then one day he's like, I just bought a BMW M3 Roadster, and I was like, okay, you know what? It's like,
Shit.
let me go check out this gig. So I was in Toronto, he was in Ottawa, so I went to go see him, and I didn't see the car, but I saw his office, and it was crazy. It was just all these kids, playing online blackjack, and I said, how is this even possible? Like, this is beyond ridiculous. So I learned the basics of it. I was in my last year of university, so I started practicing, which, to be honest, it didn't take much. There's a guy, Michael Rasile, who ran a site called Wizard of Odds. So I learned how to learn basic strategy, and it was actually 100 times easier than card counting. So I started playing. My first deposit was like a $50 deposit with, back then, this was literally over 20 years ago. There's almost no regulation. There was a licensing outside of Montreal, Ganawake. There was some in Antigua and Curacao. It was just more a technicality. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I was playing $2 a spin, playing blackjack, and my heart's beating and going, I don't feel good about this, but I hope I win. And I stuck to the strategy. And yeah, it just kind of snowballed from there. I had friends and family be extremely disappointed at my new career choice. They said, this is stupid. Like, you have a degree. Like, we looked up to you. And I said, look, if it doesn't work out, I'll just get a real job. It's not the end of the world. So after a while, it just kept changing. Like I basically got more experience. I started wagering higher, which meant the earn rate started to increase. And it started getting to a point where it's like, there's no way I'm going back to a real job. And I actually still like what I did for engineering, but I kind of look at this weird path. From being in the gambling industry for 20 years and being on the marketing side, I've come full circle, and I'm now finally using that engineering degree. So
Look at that.
So kind of redeemed myself, I guess.
Go back to your friends. Show them that you owned a business, right? And you built the business on the back of a blackjack. But no, I think that it's such an interesting concept, right? Because the super basic strategy of blackjack, like a lot of people kind of know it, right? Like I feel like a lot of people know, like, well, do you hit on 16? Well, it depends on what the dealer shows. Like, there's a lot of little nuances here and there. And then I know other people that are just like, no, if you always hit on 16, you always hit on 16. If you never hit on 16, you never hit on 16. It's like, I don't think that's exactly right, but I don't know enough to push back. And it's always really interesting. Like, how do you get to a point where you are, because like the stress level, I'm sure there's some days where you made thousands of dollars and other days you lost thousands of dollars. Like, how are you able and capable of being able to kind of stomach that? You know, now as an entrepreneur, it's probably very similar, right? But how are you able to kind of stomach that, especially in the beginning, right out of college debt? All your parents and friends are like, dude, go get a job. What are you doing? You're like, no, I kind of want to gamble. This is way more fun.
Yeah. Well, what was weird is like I had 40 grand in debt, and I put probably the last $500 of my credit card going.
What's another?
If I lose this
500,
$500, if I lose $500, it's $40,500. Not the end of the world. So what was weird is that as I got more experience and I knew things were working, when I look at my history, I think it's probably like 7 or 8 years of doing this. That included a little bit of sports betting, a little bit of online poker, and I think I've only had maybe 2 months out of 7 to 8 years that were in the loss. And
wow,
it got really weird because the losses were, I was totally unfazed. And I got to the point where the wins became kind of unfazed. Like once you celebrate, the early wins, you just kind of get used to it and it becomes like work. So my interpretation of what I was doing, I was like, I'm getting paid a lot of money to do painting. It's like, I'm not using my brain. It's total autopilot. Like what you said about like, if you have 16, well, it depends on what the dealer has. And this was just all autopilot. So it was pretty boring work. And I did have aspirations to jump on the marketing side, but honestly, there was no stress. I think the only time people will get stressed is when you tilt. I think it was good that I never got too heavy into poker because a lot of people, they tilt. And when you tilt, it's the stress piles on because now you're losing money and you're outside of your own strategy. Whereas with bonus hunting and just basically playing basic strategy of like online casinos, the losing was not so bad. And even when you lost bad, you basically looked at your data and said, this is within statistical like a standard deviation. It's not a big deal. So yeah, it just became normal.
Not that glamorous. Come on, man. I want you to pump me up a little bit, like the movie Casino, right? Like, I'm kidding, but
okay.
no,
I'll give you the glamour. The glamour
yeah,
was actually this. Like, it got to the point where it's like, okay, money's starting to pile up in the bank, and it's like, wait a minute, I'm doing this online. I can go anywhere.
Let's go.
The first place I went to, I was like, yeah, let's just move to the Caribbean. It's going to be fun, right? After a couple of weeks, I'm like, this is boring. It's no offense, all the Caribbean countries, but it's just boring. And I was like, okay, I need to do something else. So I went and moved to London, UK for a summer. And I was like, this is pretty cool. And, literally first time just flying, I'm just like, all right, let's just kind of do this. And then I ended up in Barcelona, Spain for a couple of years. And I'm just like, this is amazing. Like living in this, new country, starting to learn a different language, just meeting really cool people around the world and expanding my network of friends. And yeah, it's that was the really cool part. When I look back at maybe the first 5 years of doing this, it's just my world of travel expanded and I was able to literally do almost anything. Like I went to Australia, New Zealand and said, okay, I'll do a couple hours of work and then basically just rented a car and drove around New Zealand, the South Island. I mean, like stuff like this is crazy. And, I'm going to go to Dublin, Ireland for a summer just because I can. I spent a summer in Belgrade, Serbia because I could. And yeah, it's just... that was the glamour side. And people that I know that did any type of professional gambling, whether it's actual land-based casinos or doing it online, the online people, they had the luxury. Like I know so many people that have stories like, yeah, I just went to Brazil from Europe and because I could. And You know, it's we all share these weird stories in common.
That is pretty awesome. All right, yeah, there we go. That's what I was looking for. I mean, the
Redemption.
opportunity, yeah, the opportunity to be able to travel anywhere, and I mean, this is early internet days, as you said. This was like 20 years ago, right?
Yeah.
Were these online casinos still available in all these countries that you were in?
Yeah, it was basically you just needed the internet. They almost didn't really care where you're from.
Awesome.
I think the restrictions they might have had at most would have been your standard places like North Korea, Iran. That would be it. But
Yeah.
you know,
Maybe
it's,
not places you wanted to travel back in the early 2000s anyway, so
No,
it's okay.
We could
I
do
guess
that.
like with that, like how was there limiting? Like we know now, working for a book, and we've all heard the stories, right? You win enough times, they're going to say, you know what, we don't really want, we're a private business and we don't want you to
Yeah.
play here anymore. Like was that like a common thing to happen back then when you're just raking in money constantly?
There's only really two types of limits. Casinos that actually understood what bonus hunting looked like and would basically stop giving you bonuses and then flag you as a bonus hunter. Or ones that went out of business because all these people like me and thousands of others that were on these forums going, hey, there's a new casino with a new bonus. And if you sign up and you wait, you'll get a birthday bonus, you'll get a monthly bonus. And we just had this all figured out. Like we were chatting in forums and we knew the wagering requirements of every bonus when they came out. And yeah, it was kind of crazy. I believe to this day there's still a lot of casinos, and I'd even extend this to some sports books that don't really have a strong grasp of how you can take advantage of a bonus and what the math looks like and even what the modeling looks like. You can put math aside and say, here's our mathematical equations. You can actually predict all this, put it through Excel out of all things, run your modeling and say, you're still good. You're going to lose money if you do this. And funny enough, it's there's a lot of companies out there that are now starting to turn this into a business. They were bonus hunters, and then they built software. I'm going to give a shout out to the guys at Greco. They do bonus abuse consulting, and they basically built a SaaS company that helps online casinos, maybe sports books to some extent, understand what bonus abuse is and help them build a better bonus that's going to make it difficult for people to abuse it. And the ways you can abuse stuff, my analysis of this is that there's been so much money in the gambling industry that people have been able to endure these losses without feeling the pain. They're like, no, we're so good that we can just make money and things are growing, which is true, but they don't realize how much more money they could have made if they actually said, hey, let's get sharper about business. And that's the one critique I have about the industry itself, is that there's so much money that the tech is actually, in my opinion, way behind other industries.
I agree. Totally agree with that. We'll get to tech in a second. I just wanted to say, when I was at Caesars, one of my employees, when we were working there, one of the people I work with, coworkers, there we go. He was actually a former bonus hunter. He was a former World Series of Poker champion, right? So he knew everything, and then they hired him on, and he was then able to say, like, anything that ran through, he'd be like, this is how I would do it. Like, this is exactly what I would have done. This is how my friends are probably going to do it, right? So it was really interesting to kind of see from that perspective of someone that did this former, and they're like, hey, it's like the hacker that gets hired by the United States government to make sure that the stuff can't get hacked, right? He was kind of coming from that perspective, which I always thought was just a really interesting kind of career path to go down.
It's genius.
Right? Pretty cool. So that was fun. Shout out Jesse, cool dude. So grateful for him. So, so are you still betting? Are you still doing blackjack? Are you still just no?
Cold turkey. Like I said, it's if I were to do that, I'd be like, I'd probably rather like paint my apartment. It's like I just can't. Be
Even though the money
for it.
was just so good.
Yeah, it's the earn rate got to a ridiculous amount, but the way I looked at it was from a different point of view. I said, if I'm able to do this, how much more money is behind the ecosystem? When you do this for like 5, 6, 7 years, you start seeing things grow. You see companies grow. You see some go out of business, but you see the whole ecosystem expand at a pretty fast rate. I mean, to be able to have like that first look of like, I just can remember looking at every single web page and the bonus they have and the changes. And I just said, there must be more money on the other side of the fence. And then I got an opportunity to run a few white label casinos and run the affiliate management department. So I was an affiliate manager. And of course, naturally being the bonus hunter, I knew how to block bonus hunters. And I even found people running the stuff through affiliate sites out of all things. And yeah, that's where I just gained more experience. And I said, okay, maybe it won't be as much money, but here's the big difference. With bonus hunting, you've got nothing to sell. There's no asset. You're not growing an asset. You're just making money. But when you're not working, you're not making money. Versus all these people on the marketing side, they can go to sleep and their sites are making money, including the affiliate sites. And they're also sellable assets that grow when you put stuff into it. So I personally just got bored of all of it. And I said, I definitely don't want to do this forever at all. There's no concept of like, okay, do it for 5 more years, put all the money in a bank and just retire. It was like, no, it's I just kept changing and evolving. So from that experience, I saw how much money affiliates were actually making. I was like, wait a minute. So these guys are building affiliate sites with no experience, no degrees. Like some of them are actually like drop out of college lawyers out of all people. And basically they just learned SEO. Their budgets for starting these things was like maybe $100, like domain and hosting, and then learn SEO, make these sites happen, and you just watch how much you're paying them. And it said they're getting more out of this whole ecosystem than the operators. So eventually I started building affiliate sites, and where I'm at today is basically going back to the engineering roots and saying, I see problems that aren't being solved on both sides of the fence, and now that we've built our software, I realize, wait a minute, this is actually what I should have been doing for my engineering degree, but it's also what I realized what I like. We're in the analytics space, and there's tons of irony and parallels of how this plays into sports, and I'm a big believer in data and using it for making data-driven decisions.
Yeah, I think like you would have never got here, right, if you didn't take the path that you were on. So I think that part's very important. While yes, you might have been bored out of your mind making hand over fist money in blackjack, it's important that you did do that, right? Because then allowed you to then get into these other places, which now allows you to do what you're doing, to use that engineering degree, as we said, kind of comes full circle all the way. I'll just one last thing on the blackjack. I feel like if you like just want to go on vacation, maybe just go play like a couple hours worth of blackjack, rack up a couple grand, say, all right, we're going here, seal it. No, I'm kidding.
Total boredom. Like I'd rather, no, it's like totally. I would rather like go to the beach and play volleyball. Totally would just like sit back and watch sports and have a beer. But I'm not doing that. I don't even care if it's making money. It's like it's just zero interest. It's
respect.
I'd rather read a
that,
book.
John.
Anything else.
Good, man. Well, hey, now you'll learn that about yourself. That's important. And you did make a lot of money, so it's not like something we can, we're not too worried about it. I think you're pretty positive. As you said, only 2 months ended up negative. So, yeah, talk to me. I think one thing that's really interesting about this industry in particular, right? So I've been in it since about 2020-ish, so only about 4 years now. And while you've been in it for much, much longer, like, technically I'm almost a veteran of this like legalized sports betting industry, gambling industry here in the United States, right? PASPA was only repealed in 2018, and then everything that we've seen online. There was a couple online casinos in New Jersey and I think maybe Pennsylvania for a few years before anyone decided, hey, but there's a huge viable way to make a boatload of money here. So then we saw the DFS blitz, and then we saw all these DFS companies turn into sports books, and now we've seen all these legacy casinos be like, wait a second, this is our turf. We should be online casinos. And that's the really interesting thing to me, is that how far the technology does seem to be behind, considering the millions and literal billions of dollars that these apps and these companies are running through monthly at this point. I think New York during the football season like routinely set billion-dollar marks for the month. And that's just one state out of like 20 right now that are online. What is it? Why do you think the technology is so far behind in this industry when we understand like the differentiation is the product? Like to me, I've been doing this a while. Like DraftKings and FanDuel, there's no difference between the two of them. They're both DFS companies. They both do the same thing. One product's just a little bit better than the others. It's mostly colors. Like that's really all it comes down to. Yeah. What do you think is the reason for that?
My straight up answer, and I tell this to everyone, is that when there's so much money involved and everyone's making money, it's you don't have the pressure to try hard. Like there's no fight for survival. If you look at other industries where things are a bit more cutthroat, people are a bit more sharper, they work harder. Probably the worst analogy is I've gone to some affiliate marketing conferences that focus on the adult space, and everyone would think like, oh, what's so tech advanced about them? Well, what's so advanced about them is that they had tube sites that basically decimated their entire industry, but because they had so much volume of traffic, they had to be super savvy on making sure that the costs got down. Like they were streaming wizards compared to what Netflix is today. I wouldn't be surprised if Netflix went and hired all those people, which ironically enough a lot of them are based in Montreal. And when I go to different conferences, I just feel like I'm on a different planet. I go to the gaming conferences and I just like, it's business as usual. You're just doing your standard deals. But I find the conversations, the intelligent ones, where you walk away inspired, going, wow, there's going to be an amazing change. Those changes, I believe, are happening, but I think they're happening more behind the scenes. And I think it's going to happen in a context where people are going to realize that someone is actually becoming a leader, and they're not realizing that this change of position is happening. Kind of like, with FanDuel and DraftKings, we've seen DraftKings kind of be number 2 for a while, and they just kind of skyrocketed out of nowhere. What I see happening a lot, I mean, it's been going on for quite some time, is there's a lot of M&A, and the companies that I think are being acquired more of these days are not your standard, like, yeah, we're just going to acquire a casino. No, they're going to acquire platform and tech that's going to help them make more money. Or in the case of DraftKings, like, they're getting different types of odd services. Or, another company, Quarter 4, some ladies in Canada, which are doing, I think, sports and AI analytics. They got acquired by a pretty big affiliate site, Fairplay Sports Media. So I see data as being the future, and I think it's going to be a good 2 years before people start realizing, wait a minute, that company just got bought by them, and that one got bought by that, or this one that started out as like 2 people is now 200 because they got a ton of investment, or they're just making a ton of money. I think people are going to react in this slow way, and yeah, it's I think iGaming and the betting industry, it's far behind, but give it a couple of years, and I think things are going to pick up, and you're going to get smart, savvy people come in from different industries, and they're just going to bring a good work ethic and say, look, if you're not going to, take this piece of the pie, we're going to go take it. It's going to be, the competition is going to ramp up a bit.
I hope so. It's more fun that way. Competition breeds excellence, right? Like, it's always better when it's not just those 2 companies that duopoly up top. Like, it's nice to see there are a couple others, obviously. Here I host the podcast, but I also work for ESPN Bet, and we're obviously crossing our fingers and hopefully, we're doing all that we can to try and get in there. Obviously, you have Fanatics, you have some of the other legacy casino brands doing some cool things too. So it's nice to see that, there's never going to be a dull moment in this industry. And I think that part's really important, right? And it is, you do bring up a really good point. Like DraftKings, they just acquired Jackpocket for $750 million, right? Well, if you're not familiar with Jackpocket, it's online lottery. Why would DraftKings do that? Well, online lottery is not too far from online casino, which is not too far from online sports betting, right? It's just they're trying to build this ecosystem of anything that you can do, any type of gambling, right? We never consider the lottery gambling, but it's like the worst kind of gambling, in my opinion, right? It's hilarious how they're all state run and like, no, it's fine. Look, it's $100 million. Go win it. It's like, well, it's actually pretty terrible. Your odds are like close to 0. And, then they tout it. It's the whole parlay thing too, which is bullshit. But yeah, it's just really interesting seeing them try and like fill out that own ecosystem and creating their own. They also got Golden Nugget a few years back, but
yeah, no, I think lottery is a massively under-tapped space. Like, just looking at it from the affiliate perspective, you have casino, sports, poker. They've always done well. Bingo's kind of like, floating in the background, but it all supports casino. And lottery's just taken a long time to get off the ground, and it's mostly because of how people buy lottery tickets. It's just that they do want, like, the Powerball. Like, they want that brand, and it's like, well, where are you going to buy this? It's all these lottery organizations in state by state, province in Canada, and different countries around the world. They've just been really slow. I just find that the land-based space works at a slower pace than online, and when you've got a company like Jackpocket, I think they're going to be a really interesting integration that's going to be offered to any of these state lottery corporations, and saying, hey, we've got something that will automatically connect you with affiliate marketing. And the affiliate marketing space in lottery, it's a bit behind, but it's one of the easiest ads for anyone to click on. Like, hey, buy a lottery ticket. It's like, you're ready to click that.
It's easy. I prefer scratch offs personally because there's something to do, but that's just me, right? It's just you meet so many people along the way. It's just like, yeah, I went and bought this, and this from the convenience store. It's like, well, do I want the $2 and change? No, just give me a couple dollars, $2 in lottery tickets, whatever. Maybe it'll happen, right? It's like, then you realize, people are spending hundreds of dollars a month on lottery tickets, and just like, what are we doing, guys? Like, come on.
Bad investment.
Yeah, to each his own. Who the hell am I, right? Who the hell am I? And I guess specifically on the affiliate space, what have you seen and how have you seen it grow? Again, being in it for so long, it's become, again, I've only been doing, affiliate marketing for 4 years now, 1 year at an affiliate, and then the last 3 here with a multitude of operators at this point. What have you seen? Like, I've seen it change so much over the last, few years. What have you seen in the 20 years? I'm sure it's been a lot quicker change recently, but what have you seen positives and negatives in the affiliate space specifically, and that operator to affiliate relationship, which there's always reports on, what's going on and how it's doing, but I'm curious from your perspective.
Operator to affiliate reports, I kind of want to put that in a bucket on the side, but
Absolutely.
I see affiliate marketing as being pretty exciting. Like, there's the industry as a whole is worth a lot of money. I think I looked it up, and I think it's worth like 20 billion. And in the next 6 years, it's going to probably double over, which is phenomenal. But I personally believe it's actually going to double over in a lot sooner than later, and data is going to be behind it. If you look at what's also trending, and this is my belief, is that media is going to change everything, and that's also an extension of social media. So what is media? It's this podcast where it's video, it's YouTube, it's TikTok, and my belief is people want to buy from people. So I think what you're going to see is like two different things kind of move, where affiliate marketing, we call this as capturing the demand that's created by someone. Now, the people that can create that demand are people like you creating podcasts like this. So you've actually made yourself someone who's more like an influencer, and people that can also do the influencing are the operators. So I see this as going to be important. Like, you look at some of the biggest earning affiliates that are kind of going nothing to like 10 to 30, 50 people. And it's a lot of these streamers. Like, the streamers are doing really great money. I mean, you could actually probably get a job getting paid $50 an hour just streaming for one of these affiliate groups. So when you look at companies like Better Collective and going, what are they acquiring? And they just acquired Playmaker recently. Mm-hmm. It's like, well, what's Playmaker? Well, they do have Shaq as like, a new podcast. Like, they're basically creating a platform. What's that platform going to do? It's creating demand, and they're going to capture their own demand, and that's going to benefit everyone else in some ways. And yeah, it's just an exciting ecosystem. I think data is also going to be a major driving force, and we're going to need better tracking tools. And there's just so much ways in which people can lose money, both on the affiliate side as well as the operator side. And again, I call that full circle, going back to like, why do we make so much money, but we could be more advanced? Well, I think this advanced component is coming around the corner.
One thing that I've found, and again, working at a couple different operators now, it's not the same everywhere, but sharing that data is always a very interesting conversation with my boss and my boss's boss and my boss's boss's boss, right? We're tech companies at heart. I try to explain this to everyone. It's like, yes, I work in sports betting. Yes, there's casino involved, but it's just an app, which means we're just a tech company that does some really cool stuff, right? So when you think about it from that perspective, data is the gold. Data is the oil, right? I want to keep all my oil. I don't want to give it away. Where can we find that middle ground of being able to share enough of this data in a way that allows affiliates to do what they need to do and give me, the affiliate manager, the type of traffic that I'm looking for within, the X CPA that I, like where is that middle ground of them getting just enough and me not giving up too much?
Yeah, it's a great question, because I know some affiliate managers that ask their best affiliates and going, how much are my competitors? How much are they earning? Like, what's the earnings per click? Like, that's one of the most important metrics in affiliate marketing. I think what could change, and we're trying to accomplish it, and it's going to take time. I like referring to AWIN, and AWIN is one of the biggest affiliate networks in the world. And what they do is, because they're an affiliate network, part of the terms and conditions are your data is being published in a giant global report that says, here's all the industries we work in, and here's the global data on it, which everyone eats it up. The affiliates eat it up, the operators eat it up, but there's just not enough of it. And this data just simply doesn't exist in iGaming. So we're hoping that at some point, like, I'm basically kind of exposing some of our marketing strategy, and something we want to try to do, but we're not sure of the roadmap, is could we find a way to allow affiliates to pool their data together, anonymize it, protect them, because affiliates look at their data like this is digital gold. It's like, this is sacred stuff. It's more valuable than knowing how much money's in their bank account. Like, they would rather show you their bank than show you where they make all their money and who's in what order. But imagine being able to get that feedback to say, wait a minute, I should be putting this brand in the number 2 spot in Canada for my websites or for my podcasts. I think by having that data, there's gonna be ways in which this is gonna come to fruition. If we're not the ones doing it, I think you're gonna have like crazy AI projects where they just start analyzing the affiliate sites, because you got to understand, the bigger the affiliate these affiliate organizations are, some of them are data driven. So if they don't have this tech yet, give them 1 or 2 years, they will have this tech, whether we're part of that solution or whether they build this in-house. And then basically, simply put, if no one wants to do this, we'll just start scraping all the rankings of each affiliate site. And companies are already doing this as we speak with companies like DeepCI. So understanding who's the number one in Canada for sportsbook and casino, or by province. Once you have this data, the data it's going to be very difficult to hide. And that will be where the affiliate manager can start saying, oh, okay, I'm now having less control over my own rankings unless I overpay, or I need to find a way to optimize our conversion rate and our retention. And then it goes full circle to the meat and guts of what is inside an operation. And there's going to be a lot of data behind that.
Oh, there always is. It's a lot of fun. Data is gold. That is for sure. So we've been kind of talking around it a little bit. Why don't we talk about StatsDrone a little bit? What exactly do you do? How do you guys do it? And why did you want to get into this entrepreneurial space a little bit?
Yeah, it's I've always been an entrepreneur by heart, and I believe this project that I'm working on now, I probably feel like I should have done it a long time ago. So the first part of our app is what everyone sees today. We're a stats app. We're like the QuickBooks for affiliates. We pull all the data from your affiliate programs in a central app. We do this dirty work of standardizing, which is not fun, but it must be done. And we help the affiliates know how much money did you make today and yesterday, this month, last month. And then we do data analysis on it. So in running affiliate sites and being an affiliate manager, I've experienced pain on both sides of the fence. So I believe there's a massive market for this, where most affiliates are problem aware that they need this data and they can use the data to optimize their campaigns, but they're not solution aware. Like, they don't know we exist, and we are an affiliate stats aggregator. That's a mouthful. You Google that, you're not going to find us. And even if we wanted to be number one for it in Google, it doesn't make a difference. The second part of what we're building is basically the ad tech. So imagine you had a sports blog, and you know, when you go to like some of these really professional affiliate sites where you see the logo of the bookmaker and the bonus and the call to action and the rating, we're offering that tech as a service, so you don't have to do the design, programming, or even maintain the databases. So you can say, wait a minute, I want to build this in Spanish. And we could basically say, hey, it's just 2 lines of code, you paste it on your site. So we're excited about doing that. And part of the stories of how we discovered these things are 2 stories. First is I used to use a stats app. And when companies would go to business, I'd be like, this sucks because no one's emailing me. And you have to change your tracking links. When you don't change your tracking links, you're leaking money. So this is a revenue leak is a major problem in affiliate marketing. We've added 2,200 gambling affiliate programs in the last 2 years in our stats app. We've closed 900 of them. That's probably close to 2,000 brands that have gone offline. And to this day, I always find affiliates like on different parts of their, like some high ranking pages, they're linking it to a brand that's closed or one that's closed the affiliate program. So it's loss of money. The second part is we had this tech, like, you know, the ad tech. We had this for a site, but we actually messed up on the SEO. And I'm like, this sucks. Like, we have amazing tech, and if we had the SEO, we'd be printing millions. Like, we would have taken off. But because we made a couple mistakes there, I just said, can we find another way of monetizing this? And I started asking my SEO friends, saying, would you do 50-50 partnership? And they all just said, yes, no problem. I was like, but wait a minute. They all said yes. Like, would you all do the same deal? They didn't care that someone else would have that deal. And then I said, would you pay a subscription fee for this? And no matter what price I mentioned, they said yes, because if you want to build the same ad tech yourself for your own one website, you're looking at anywhere from like $10,000 to $50,000 costs, 6 months, and there's also a risk that it's not going to work. So we just figured, hey, maybe there's an accidental discovery on here. And by messing up the SEO, we realized this is actually a business that could be pretty exciting. And tying it in with the stats just made total sense of going, you should have your best converting brands automatically re-ranking themselves based on data. We believe this is going to be the future of affiliate marketing.
I love it, man. I think that's really important. I mean, some of the brands that I've worked with in the past, go to the sites like, hey, this link doesn't work. Hey, we asked you to change this. Hey, this promo code doesn't exist. Hey, you got to do, and it's just like, I'm not trying to call anyone out, because it happens literally everywhere, and it's things fall through the cracks. Yeah. A lot of people touch a lot of things. You email one person, he has to email this team, and then that team's like, oh, I don't take care of this page, I actually take care of that page. So I'll send it, and it's just like at some point, some things are going to fall through the cracks. So you make a really good point that like things happen, unfortunately, and it makes it a little bit more difficult when you lose money on it.
Yeah, and this goes back to my days as an affiliate manager. Changing a sign-up bonus meant that I emailed the database. 10% would change the bonus in the first week. The next 10% would do it in the first month, and then you're trying to herd sheep, and it's just a pain. So that was part of the other concept of going, wait a minute, we all of us affiliates have to update these bonuses, and we now can actually go to the affiliate manager and say, if you know your bonus in Canada is going to change by Thursday of next week at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we'll actually program it in our system. So if we actually get hypothetically hundreds or thousands of affiliates using it, you will still have to email your database, but you'll come to us in advance and saying, hey, I want this scheduled because we are going to change this bonus. And there's just so much money being lost in not just broken links, but also deals that are just expired, the wrong bonus code. And most importantly, there's just the internet's littered with all these expired offers, or you click and you get the wrong offer and the player's pissed off, and then they go back to Google, and now that sports book and the affiliate has lost money. And again, revenue leak.
Or worse, they go to customer service, and then customer service reaches out to somebody, and then they reach out to me, and it's like, guys, I told you to change this. Now I look like an idiot. So that's never a fun one. And going back to your once or twice, I like your percentages, right? 10% will fix this in the first week, 10% the next month. I'd say that last 10% is probably like 1 or 2 offers behind. So that's just kind of another fun piece of this. Is like, this hasn't been our offer for months. What are we doing, guys? And it's like, oh, sorry, I missed your email. I don't know. It's your business. Maybe you should pay attention a little bit more. Maybe I shouldn't have you as an affiliate. Actually, that's probably another better way to look at it.
But those emails commonly go to spam, and that's the other part of the problem. I mean, for me, it's whenever, like, the worst part was compliance messages, where if you don't fix this, we're going to close your account in a week, and you're going to lose all your revenue share. And I remember finding these things in spam. I'm like what? I got to check spam once a day now, just stay on top of compliance. And if we had this system set up, then we could be compliant for a lot of people, and it's just a nightmare.
That's awesome. So how are you tying the two sides of this business? I mean, they obviously have something to do with each other, but how are you able to say, like, this is the reason why both of these things exist under the StatsDrone name, and we're able and capable of performing very well at both of these things?
Yeah, it's a tough question. We believe we want to handle it first from the affiliate side and not needing to do it from the operator side. So it's not to say the operator needs to come and tell us what's going to change. Because when we ran our data-driven affiliate sites, we managed databases of 1,500 online casinos, over 10,000 bonuses in multiple languages. So we did this work, and the big affiliates, they do this anyways. So we wanted to do this, and we did raise a bit of investment. Like, our company's primarily bootstrapped, but when we raised our funding to basically step on the gas and pour more fuel on the fire, it was part of our pitch deck explaining this concept. And now, for the first time, I've only seen one company actually combine both products as a single service, and they're called Lasso. And they are ad tech, and they finally added stats. So now in my pitch deck, I can finally point to one company and say, "See, I told you this is coming." And yeah, I'm excited. Like, I think there's enough room for lots of competitors to exist, and I think it's gonna. I mean, everyone uses the word disruption, but I think it could be pretty brutal for some people, but there's other people, they're begging us for this tech. They're like, I want this yesterday. It's like, as soon as it's ready, I don't care if it's got a horrible interface. I don't care if it's in beta mode, just hand it over. We'll pay money for it.
As long as it works, man. I've used some of these companies in the gambling space that are just dinosaurs, and you have to use them, and they don't work. So it's just, if I have to use you, just make it work. That's all I'm asking. So it sounds like you guys are well on your way there. So kudos and congratulations, John. I love it. Last thing, obviously, I want to talk about. Well, actually, let's stick with that. One more question on the StatsDrone thing. One thing that's really frustrating from just my perspective, working here in the U.S. and obviously Ontario, so a little bit of North America, is just the absolute ridiculous amount of regulation and how each state is essentially its own country, which is very, very frustrating. Now, it is states' rights, and they can do exactly what they want, and so, like, positives and negatives to that. But most of the time, it's just negatives because it's so frustrating keeping everything straight. Is there anything on your end, worldwide, obviously, state, country by country, like, what do you guys have to do and pay attention to in this compliance? Because that is pretty much like as you were saying earlier, compliance didn't exist when you were playing blackjack 20 years ago. Yeah. Now it's the most frustrating thing, necessary, but most frustrating thing we get to deal with. What do you guys have to do on the compliance side to make sure everything's copacetic?
Yeah, I mean, the best example I have from that in the story is this was back in 2017. We had one company that said, if you don't fix this for compliance, we're going to close your account. It cost us $10,000 in programming work to solve a $500 account. Like, this account was barely making money. We're like, let's do it anyways. So if we can actually do the compliance on behalf of affiliates, then we can solve a major pain point that benefits the operators as well. So we believe this compliance is going to be here for a long time. It's not going to change. States are always going to want to have their own rules. So what you do need is you just need like the IP technology that says the user is here in Idaho, they're in Florida, so therefore they need to see something else. And we've seen all the compliance exceptions you can imagine. Like for casino, it's like we can't call it free spins. It has to be called extra spins in the UK. Okay, fine. But that's something we would do and build and program. So if we can solve that for affiliates, we're also doing a big favor to the operators. And I mean, you know what's crazy is that there's actually multiple companies that's all they do is compliance. They find affiliates that are incompliant. They give the reports to the operator. The operators go and tell the affiliate, hey, if you don't fix this, it's a weird part of the business where it will cost them money, but sometimes these compliance issues actually do relate to your conversion rate. If things aren't compliant, then you're going to have a lower conversion rate. So as much as people hear the word compliance and they're like, oh, I don't want to deal with this. This is like, it's like taxes. Well, it actually will help your conversion rate once you start focusing on the compliance part. So it might be boring, but it's important. And we just want to make it easy for people and go, we'll be the boring tech company that makes things just work automatically.
That's awesome. Thank you for taking the bullet on that one, man. Because it is, it's the least fun part of my job, I guess I could say, is dealing with compliance. And the compliance team I work with at Penn is incredible, all great people. But I'm sure they'd even admit it's not the most not the most exciting part of this industry, if I may. So I think that part's pretty important. But no, man, I really appreciate the explanation on the business, everything you guys got going. I think it's going to be awesome. It, already is, but obviously, as you said, you got even more stuff coming out soon, which is going to be pretty cool. So hopefully, you got a lot of business cards. Reach out to a lot of people and make a bunch of money, John. I think that's the important part with all this. Last thing I do want to talk about. You're on a podcast right now. You have your own podcast. If you go on someone else's podcast and don't talk about your podcast, did you even podcast? So talk to us a little bit about your podcast. You're the host of the Affiliate BI podcast. What's that like? What's the reasoning behind it? Why'd you start it? How much do you love it?
Yeah, I love it a lot. I mean, the networking benefits I get from it are just profound. I tell anyone, if you're in a B2B space, do a podcast. If you're an affiliate or in the B2C space, do a podcast. Your networking is going to go through the roof. And yeah, just that alone is worth it. Like I use this analogy of saying, I get to interview a lot of smart people, and it's people that I feel like I should be paying them time for I should be paying for their time. In some cases, I've got guests that they literally charge $2,000 an hour. I'm like, now I get it for free. I get to ask all the questions I want, and it's just phenomenal. I started the podcast because of a couple of reasons. I'm in affiliate marketing, and I'm aware of what personal branding is like. So I went on a journey of spending more time on LinkedIn and going, how do I get my name out there? How do I get known in a positive way where it's a touch point that helps people? I think in affiliate marketing, these same touch points are just as important. So a podcast it's important, and I had no idea what I was getting into. I just knew that other companies were doing it, and I listened to their podcasts, and they're all talking about how powerful it is as a business generator. So one person I interviewed, a guy named Carl Roof, who's an SEO guy, affiliate marketer. He's got SEO courses with Internet Marketing Gold. He said after doing it for 1 year, all of his marketing, like his sales, are now inbound. He doesn't have to go outbound. So we're not quite there yet, but after doing this for about a year, it's actually having a profound impact on our business. And I mean, I've got like 5 benefits I can list off, but I could just say, 4 benefits which are helping our company a lot. I could actually live without and say the networking effect has just been through the roof, and it's a lot of fun. It's how it is. You get to chat with people, have interesting conversations. You get to pick their brain, which levels up your skills in marketing, and it's helped me a lot in understanding what's around the corner in affiliate marketing. I feel like I actually should go back and being an affiliate, which I won't do because we're now a software company. But I feel like everything I've gained from just talking to these guests at SEO and affiliate marketing, I'm like, wow, it's if I had to do this all over again and become an affiliate, I just feel like I would crush it from gaining all these insights.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, it's my favorite thing. Like, hands down, I've never gotten paid $1 to do this. It's just so much fun. Like, I love talking to people like yourself who just have interesting stories, interesting businesses in a space that I'm interested in, right? And like you said, like, it's a lot of the times I feel like I should have, I had Richard Jefferson on this podcast. What the hell is Richard Jefferson doing talking to me? Like, it doesn't make any sense at all.
Yeah, what am I doing on your podcast when you're talking to guys like Richard Jefferson?
Yeah, well, I only had one Richard Jefferson on, so I think they're, but no, I kid. But like, it's just like so cool that I get the opportunity, even if it's for 10, 15, 20 minutes, get to talk to some people like him who, his name is very well known. If you pay attention to sports or like at least basketball, you're probably familiar with NBA champion Richard Jefferson, right? Which is really cool. And then I've had people that, you probably never heard of, but just have insanely cool stories. Olympic athletes, entrepreneurs, business people, people that just got hired at sports marketing companies, right? Just like the whole gamut. And I think everybody has a story to tell. And I think one of my favorite things personally is just a good conversation. Like, I don't care what I'm doing, where I am, who I'm with. If we could just have a good conversation, doesn't matter. We can have a beer. We don't have to have a beer. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, if we're having a good conversation, I'm at least going to get something out of it, and that might just be enjoyment. How often do you get 45 minutes? No cell phones, no TV, no food. It's just a conversation back and forth, and I completely agree with you, man. Like, I learned so much, and I just ask the questions I want to learn, and hopefully the audience, people are listening, so clearly they want to know those questions and answers too. So I just love it, man.
Yeah, my analogy for that, and just to reflect on what you said, is sometimes when you're at a conference and you meet someone and you have like a really amazing conversation that goes on for an hour and you're so energized, you just want to go back home and work. What I find for me with my podcast, and you probably experience the same, is you get to hear these different stories and connect with like different people and entrepreneurs. I mean, how lucky are we to be able to do this like once a week? I'm like, this is just, I feel like, I'm like, taking advantage of people, and, it's like I should be paying them. But, we're not getting paid for this, but it's a two-way street. We do help other people, expand their platform. And wow, I just can't believe that there's going to be a lot of people that won't get uncomfortable, and they're going to be too concerned about how they look or their voice, and they won't get uncomfortable and just start a podcast. And it's the easiest thing to do. It costs no money, but it's the biggest barrier to entry is people's fear and being worried that their first 3 podcasts they're going to suck. And yeah, my first podcast, my first YouTube videos, I look at them like, I'm not deleting this. It's total cringeworthy, but I got to keep it up. You just got to own it.
Yep. Yeah. Oh, dude, those first few, I mean, I've been doing this for, I don't know, 4 or 5 years now, something like that. So those first few are terrible. And I had some really cool people on those first few years. Like those first 10, 20 episodes, there was like some legitimate people who at the time were just on their come up. And now, like Adam White, the CEO of Front Office Sports, I had him on. He was like the third or fourth podcast. Jack Settleman, Snapback Agency, who's been doing everything on planet Earth. I mean, he was one of the first 3 episodes of the podcast because I would network in New York, and I met him, and he wasn't huge yet, and now look where they are. And it's just so cool that I have those. Now, is it the best interview I ever did? No, but it is what it is. I had a good time. It was a blast, and I'm grateful for it. And now here, I feel like I'm getting back in the swing of things. This is only my 3rd one back in a few months, but I feel like I'm getting right back into it. So I appreciate you for your time today, John. Tell us, where can we learn more about StatsDrone? Where can we follow you? LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram. Give us all the links. I'll put everything in the show notes for everybody. But
sure.
let them know.
It's StatsDrone.com is our SaaS website, and my social profiles, most of them are always look right, as in RIGHT. Nice. So I got that from being in the UK, and on the ground it says look right. Mm-hmm. So it's like always look right, because there's been times when I'd be texting a bit, a bus just went by. I'm like, I need to pay attention. So
I almost got hit by a bus in the UK once, but that's a story for another time.
But here we are.
Yes, that's awesome. And StatsDrone.com podcast, where can we find that?
Yeah, affiliatebi.com, or just like this one, it's just wherever you listen to podcasts, just search for Affiliate BI. The BI is business intelligence, and I think we're now 30 episodes in, and a lot of SEO guests, and I've had some crazy guests where I'm like, I can't believe I've landed some of these big names. It's I'm just so pumped that I've had that opportunity. So if you like the podcast, just like this one, give it a rating, recommendation, help the algorithm. I'm going to do that for your show. So if people do that for mine, I'm always pumped and grateful for it.
I love it, man. John, this has been absolutely fantastic. One more time, John Wright, co-founder of StatsDrone, host of the Affiliate BI podcast. John, appreciate you for your time. Time is the only thing we don't get more of, so thank you so much for that. But other than that, man, hope you have a great rest of your day.
Thank you so much.
Bye, everybody.